And we're back, and our guest on this segment is an old friend, Colin Berg with the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation. Colin, good to see you again. Good to have you in the chair.
It's good to see you. It's been a while.
It has been. What's going on over at the Department of Wildlife?
Well, there's always stuff happening in the outdoors, but actually there's some indoor stuff that's getting ready to happen in the coming weeks here, the next couple of weeks. One in Oklahoma City, our Archery in the Schools program, and we got another program called Varsity Archery, where we have several thousand kids down in Oklahoma City participate in a state shoot down there, 2 different days. Our Western and Central State Tier 2 state shoots take place there in Oklahoma City on the 14th and 15th. And then we fast forward to Tulsa on the 22nd and 23rd, I believe, with Grand State being the 23rd. It's a neat avenue for kids to get engaged in archery, and they do it actually through their school system. We started the program in Oklahoma back in 2004. It's grown with great popularity across the state. It's not just the small schools, it's big schools here in the Tulsa area. Jenks, this Claremore area where we're at today, they've got several schools that are engaged in the program. Connects with a lot of kids that seeing that arrow hit the target for the very first time, Sam. What they found when it started in 2002 and they started doing research with the kids that were participating in the program, they asked them what they liked about it. It was that immediate success. They set you up the way we teach the teachers to teach the program. You know, kids may not hit a baseball on the first pitch. They may not sink a basket on the very first shot. But if they follow our directions and when they're implemented at their school, it doesn't matter if it's a 4th grade girl or boy that's never shot before or a high school senior that's never shot a bow before, they will hit the target. And when they hear that thud of the target, it kicks in like
They're
positivity.
Up.
I can
up.
do this. It's a very fun sport.
What are the ages?
It's 4th through 12th grade. They can actually qualify to go to a national shoot in Louisville, Kentucky, and they do one also in the Northwest in Utah each year. They can go to either one of those national shoots. They go to qualify there. They can even end up going in a world shoot and shoot against kids from across the world at a NAS program. So it's a really fun-oriented program. It's a lot like tennis. You know, if you go to a traditional football game or a basketball game or baseball, you hear parents hollering and screaming for their kids and sometimes not saying stuff that they should be saying, trying to coach them from the stands that the coaches don't appreciate. There's no coaching going on at these shoots. They're watching the kids shoot. It is exactly like a tennis match or a golf game where the crowd's pretty quiet. They're watching maybe sometimes through binoculars, cheering their kids on when they come back at the end of each end that they shoot and just giving them a good smile and a thumbs up. And that's what it's all about is, again, success and having fun.
Well, last time we talked about hunting in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And hunting, as you told me then, seemed to be down a bit. Has it picked up any?
It picked up during COVID because what people found out is if I don't have anything else to do, I'm going to go hunt and I'm going to go fishing. And the outdoors, we had a theme, the outdoors is always open. And people went to the outdoors when that was all that was available. But slowly as they go back to our traditions of all these other things that take up our time, the participation dwindles just a little bit. But we did see a spike, and we have actually maintained it in Oklahoma, the participation on both the hunting and fishing side. That's good to see because most of what we're seeing in Oklahoma as well as across the United States is there's a big user group that's our age. Nothing against you, nothing against me. We're one of the last really strongholds of hunting and the outdoor recreation, the outdoor lifestyle. Back when you and I were growing up, there weren't all these other things to take people's time away. It was, what do we do on a weekend? Well, we worked all week together, now we're going to go fishing together.
Federal government issued a warning 2 weeks ago for virtually all of the United States about eating local fish because so many of the waters have been polluted.
Yeah.
Now, I know because I love to catch and eat trout. But the trout species was on the list as well.
It all depends on the lakes. and reservoirs, stream systems. We have a Department of Environmental Quality that actually, there's naturally occurring mercury within a lot of our waters in Oklahoma, and they do have some warnings on certain levels of fish that you eat. You know, don't eat fish this certain species every day. It's not a broad scale issue in Oklahoma, but there are some states that do have some issues with eating fish on their traditional areas across the United States. That's always something that's concerned. The environment is something that's top of mind now.
And Mother Nature has a temper, and
Yes.
she has no problem showing it.
That's right.
I know just recently Arkansas got its fanny busted because they were continuing to dump animal waste in the tributaries that feed into Oklahoma.
Yep.
And now whether or not that spanking took hold or not, I don't know if they've stopped it or cut back. I don't know anything about it yet. But it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Like I said, the environment is top of mind for everybody, and we need to always be, cognizant of the things that we do in one location actually affects things downstream. Water flows downstream. The Arkansas River, system that flows through Oklahoma, starts in Colorado, flows through Oklahoma, goes all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. So water that starts in Colorado ends up in the Gulf of Mexico, and it actually, flows through several states to get there. So
almost has a complete butterfly effect, if you will.
Exactly.
What happens here can affect all species of animals on downstream.
Yep. This time of year, Sam, one of the big things that people are thinking about, though, fish species-wise, is largemouth bass. This time of year is when folks that love to fish for largemouth bass, and it's one of our top species between largemouth usually and channel catfish or crappie. Those are the top 3 species that people pursue. This is the time of year, if you want to catch a big largemouth bass, this is the time to do it. February and March is when you might catch a state record, or if you catch that same female during, say, June or July, she's going to weigh a few pounds lighter depending on the size of her. So we encourage folks to get out there and catch some of those big fish. They've been stocking up all winter long. You think they just lay around, but they're eating all winter long, and those females are storing eggs, and right before they reproduce, and in March usually is when they lay those eggs. They're going to be the biggest that they are during any given time of the year. So
oh man, you're making me anxious to get a rod and reel and head out.
That's right.
Golly,
That's right.
I do love to fish.
Yes, and we've talked about it before. Just you can fish all over the state of Oklahoma, different waters. You could spend your next several years and not hit every body of water.
Well, we've got more shoreline.
That's right.
Than any other state, don't we?
That's right. People go, what? How can that be when we're we're landlocked? We are not against the major oceans or everything, but we have so many lakes, reservoirs, streams that dot all across the state of Oklahoma, and that's one of the big things that state parks launched was going to our state parks and fishing, and the Oklahoma Fishing Trail is a big deal. A lot of people are fishing and catching different species and exploring our state. We've got a tremendous amount to offer.
I live in Tulsa, but I drive to Claremore to do this show once a week. And it's very common to see deer on campus.
Oh, yeah.
On the outer edge.
Yeah.
There's a pond in back of the building that we're in now. And I got to tell you, there's some nice sized lunkers in there because I've seen them flop. So I'm going to be hitting that a lick.
There you go. There you go.
One never knows.
Yeah.
I'm told that north of here, there are ponds and pretty good size. I don't want to call them a lake, but because you can see the whole thing. But there are places with it. A man's sorely tempted to shinny over the fence and.
Don't follow those temptations. Make sure that you got permission.
There's a right way to do it, man.
Exactly.
It's best to get permission to do it.
Yep, that's the thing. That's one thing we do get a lot of questions though, because now with the online mapping system, people will say something that's usually called no-name reservoir, and it's a larger watershed lake that's on private property. It appears like, oh, that's a big reservoir. It should be a public body of water. It's actually not. It's on private property, and the only way that you can fish is with landowner permission, or you live or you're part of the family and they let you go fishing. But if it's not in your family and you don't have access to it, don't go by the maps when it says it's a reservoir, because it's not open to the public.
All right, and let me just say to you folks that have that kind of property, you know, with a nice lake on it, if you need somebody to fish it, just call the station. Either Colin or myself, one of the two of us will be there, and we'll take care of beating the froth on your water anytime you need
There
it.
you go. That's a good
What's
plug.
best bait for a bass this time of year, big mouth?
This time of year, people are fishing stuff that's slow, either, you know, a jig that's fished in the brush pile a little bit deeper, deep diving crankbaits, fish slowly across points and things. This time of year is what people are going to be catching them on. But in another month, first part of March, they'll start easing, as the water temperatures warm up, they'll start easing their way up into the shallower water. And by the end of March, you're going to be catching them on top water quite a bit, and some of those things in shallower water. So it's hard to believe that, I mean, we got beautiful weather off and on here through the winter time, but it's not that far away before it's going to be 80 degrees outside.
Sure.
And perfect to catch a bass.
You know, we got a number of fishing shows on television right now on cable, and they air at the worst possible time. I mean, you want to watch it, you've got to figure out when it's going to be on and make arrangements to tape it, because I don't know about you, but I like to sleep. And one of them the other day was on Lake Eufaula.
Yeah.
And whoever the producer was did it right, because they were set up to, you know, for cold weather. We got cold weather.
That's right.
You know, so they may have taped that thing a year ago. I just don't know.
Yep.
But they were guys hooking bass coming out of that Lake Eufaula that were scary.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you can catch fish year round. A lot of our die-hard fishermen and women, they're out there this time of the year and they don't have any competition. So that some people enjoy it, you know, whether it's largemouth bass or crappie fishing this time of year. A lot of people that are dual activity folks that like to fish and like to hunt, they abandon fishing from about, October through the middle of January, end of January, deer season, maybe into February here, when they're still maybe hunting a few quail across the state. But if you're one of those folks that will get out on the water either on a nice day or sometimes a bad day, cold-wise, don't get out there when it's blowing 30 miles an hour on our lakes. They're not safe. But cold and calm conditions, you can catch a lot of fish. And
We got about 40 seconds. I've never asked you this, and I'd like to know. What do you fish for when you go out?
I love fishing for largemouth bass and crappie. Those are my two favorite species. I've got small ponds that I fish that I've got access to. Fish out of a float tube. It's fun to do.
Colin, we're out of time. Thank you.
I enjoyed it, Sam. Appreciate it.
We'll do it again.
All right.
That's all we have for this edition of Perspectives. We'll see you again next time.